Hello.
All right, what's going on, everybody? This is our surprise live number 2 because I thought I was going to be out of town, and I turned out I was not. So I have time to kill. So I invited Virgil to come and hang out because
Yeah,
we've been talking about horror books.
we have. We have. And so we kind of, after we had I really enjoyed the chat that you and I and Brian all had. It was really fun. So it's fun to chat with Brian anyway.
Always.
And I think as soon as we were done, I think you said something when do we want to do the next one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The chat about Blackwater. Yeah.
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 So,
I've been on a horror kick recently. It's like I love science fiction, and I know that I mainly do science fiction, but boy, I've been on a horror kick recently.
And it's great too, because I like horror, but I feel like my tastes are very mainstream, or whatever. Well, not my taste, I should say, but like my experience is really mainstream.
Right.
Like I've got King and Kuntz and Straub.
Me too.
Those guys, Bryce, and all the big names. I've generally read something from at least one book from most of them.
Right.
But anything that's a little bit obscure I haven't touched on very much. And so it's great because you have a lot of knowledge about that. And that's
what's
awesome.
up, Brian?
Brian, what's up?
We tried to surprise him with this and make him jump on with us, but he's busy. But he's gonna watch, so that's good. He'll be here in the comments with us, which is awesome.
Right on.
Virgil,
go ahead.
You kicked butt at what you sent. That was awesome. Have you seen Brian's new video?
Yes, the one he just put out, the book haul was great.
Yeah, it's really great, and I can't believe you sent him a little Goosebumps book with a magnifying glass.
But the best part was he's like, I need a magnifying glass. He's like, wait, there's a magnifying glass.
It worked perfect. It was really good.
Yeah, that was all Angie's idea. She collects those books. She's got a bunch of them. She's still looking for a number of them, I think, but she has a whole collection of those.
That's great.
She has tons of duplicates. She loves, like, whenever she sees them, she buys one and tries to see what she can find. So
I'm gonna grab one. I'm gonna grab one so people know what we're talking about.
Okay, yeah. I don't have any down here, so I can't show you anything.
Hey, Alan. Thanks for jumping on with us here.
Clive Barker. Oh yeah.
And then this is what Brian says. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I love Clive Barker. So we were talking. Well, Chris, nobody's here but me. But we were talking about the next book we wanted to read and how we were looking forward to that. And it was like, this is really exciting. I don't know if we want to wait that long.
Sorry, I left you in the lurch.
Of course, Brian. Thank you. I enjoyed a lot of stuff. I actually, there you go.
Tiny books.
Tiny books.
and it's actually the book.
It is.
And this one I think this is Alice in Wonderland and has the.
Oh wow, that's got illustrations. It's so cool. I bet she has that one.
Got the it looks crazy because it looks like I'm holding up if I do it right, it'll look like I'm holding up a normal. No, it will never look like I'm holding up a normal book.
Maybe
I can eat this thing and then not joke.
Oh man.
Hey Tim, how are you doing?
Tim, what's up? Yes, it's the other Tuesday.
That's right. Yeah, Virgil and I reserve the right to go live whenever we want because it's fun, and when you have time, might as well. Anyone know Damnation Game? His first one. We're talking about Clive Barker. Let me see if I don't think I've read Damnation Game. I've only read a few Clive Barker, but every single thing I've ever read by Clive Barker, I've loved. I can't believe we didn't put it on the list. I think I held back because I just wasn't sure. I just didn't know. I know I plan to reread Imagica this year. Yeah. I'd like to reread. I know these are rereads, really. Cold Heart Canyon, but Damnation Game and the Books of Blood. Okay. All that I want to read, basically everything that he's written. I want to read it. Well, I don't have. Oh yes, duh, it's right here. Okay. And sorry, Brian sent me. I think one of the books that Brian sent me. He sent me. Let me see. I'm going to grab a book. See, I don't even. Yeah. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Here's my copy of the Damnation Game. I have not read it. Is this the one to read, Alan? Is that if you were to say read a Clive Barker, is this the one you'd say?
Yeah. So Brian sent me The Great and Secret Show, which I didn't have, which was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to. All I've read is some of the Books of Blood. That's all I've read, and that's just because I went through a Hellraiser phase.
Yeah, I've read Hellbound Heart.
Yep,
I like that. I like that a lot. And Magica is like, honestly, it's really more of like a really dark fantasy novel. It's more. I feel like it's a lot more like really dark fantasy than horror. That's splitting hairs.
I've heard that a lot about him. Is that he kind of goes from horror to fantasy.
It's super good.
What does Gravity's Rainbow and Damnation Game have in common?
I don't.
That's the setup. And then he said,
"Yeah, we haven't read it." So
oh shoot, you haven't read it.
So somebody gets that joke. It's not us.
And he agrees with you on a Magica that it's dark fantasy. I agree.
Yeah, it's really great, and I really like Cold Heart Canyon too. He has a thing where it seems like you think the end of the book should be here, and then there's a lot more after that. Like the book would normally end here, but it just keeps going. But it's not. That's not a bad thing. Normally that's terrible,
right?
But he always makes it work, and you're always like, "This is so good."
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Brian has read Weave World and Thief of Always and Books of Blood. In the Hills, the Cities is my all-time favorite short story.
In the Hills, the Cities. Okay. Ooh, I've heard that title before. I've not read it. I've heard really good things about Weave World.
Yeah, me too. No, I don't want to spoil it for y'all. Appreciate that.
Appreciate
it. Jake, what's going on, Jake?
That's right. It's the
another live stream. Don't you guys work? Not hard.
I'm supposed to. I'm going to work later.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we are limited by my work schedule today.
I've got professor hours, man. They're the best hours. So I put ice in my mouth. That was stupid.
I know. I do that stuff too.
Virgil and Brian and I are planning a secret horror book takeover of the world. Very culty stuff. That's going to be awesome, but we can't reveal any of it right now. So just pretend I didn't say any of that. However, Virgil made a list of horror books that we're talking about wanting to read. And I just thought we could go over some of these until the comments send us in a different direction. So I have the list.
And I tried to find unusual or like slightly like not super popular picks, although there is one or two very popular ones in there.
Yeah.
But I kind of put those in just to kind of just keep the mix energetic, I guess. Tried to keep it to be older, but there's some of that stuff in there that's much more recent.
Right.
If it seemed interesting to me, I picked it. I put it
down. It was kind of a stuff we've always wanted to read by authors that we may have read stuff from or may not have. I don't have all these books. We'll see.
If I have any.
Yeah, what Virgil can fill in. But the first one he brought up was All Heads Turn When the Hunt Goes By. And this is by John Ferris.
Have you read this one?
I have not.
Oh, interesting. I like that cover. There's another cover, the paperback cover, that's all this like weird green sort of lettering and this woman holding a sword or something. I love the cover.
This is what drives me nuts because I had both of them. I had the paperback and I had the hardback, but there's no way I can keep two copies of every book. Right. So I chose, because this is a first, it's an actual first, I chose to keep this. But sometimes I'm like, I'm getting rid of my favorite cover for having a first edition. It's a hard choice.
I know. Why? It's always the paperbacks seem to get better covers, but it's like you want the hardback, but the paperback gets the cover you want.
Right. Yeah.
Why can't we fix that?
Seriously. Just to keep up. I'm going to keep up on the chat today. That's what's happening.
Right on.
Weave World is a trip. I have not read it. Such a great title. All heads turn when the hunt goes by. I agree.
That's what made me stop and check it out when I'm like, I love this title.
Yeah, also on Playboy Press, which it would be fun sometime to do a video on Playboy Press because they did a ton. They published a ton of really interesting horror and stuff in the 80s. Wild, of course, the minute I hear Playboy, I think of pornography, but they actually had a good press.
Yeah. I think they funded some movies or something too. Didn't they do didn't they fund a version of Macbeth? I think there's a film version of Macbeth that Playboy funded or something. I've heard that. I remember my teacher in high school, like, showed us it. I mean, it wasn't adult or anything, it was Macbeth, but it was really good. It was a really good production.
Yeah, we watched Romeo and Juliet in school, Zeffirelli's.
I remember
Romeo
that too.
Juliet, and I think there was a little bit of nudity in that, which had all of us riled up back in the day.
I don't know if we have to sign anything, or they're just kind of like, you guys are old enough, just chill.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays, you'd have to sign something. I don't know.
Yes, they just don't show it. They just don't show it anymore.
Well, that's true. You're right. They just wouldn't show it.
I think they showed Naomi, but it was edited. I think they edited out the nudity, if I remember correctly. Sorry, my daughter. All right. I liked the film of Macbeth by the Coen brothers. Okay, I know they did Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is the Odyssey. What is their Macbeth movie? I didn't know that.
I'm not sure. I'm drawing a blank, but that's
Denzel Washington. I don't know. Oh, I just saw today a trailer for a new Ethan Coen movie coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, called now I can't remember. Look it up. New Ethan Coen movie. Awesome.
That's how we get you on the internet.
That's right. My favorite Shakespeare film is The Lion King. Yeah. I always laugh at that, of course. It's Hamlet, but also I think that there's a Japanese animation in there that The Lion King was inspired by. So I think there's two separations there. What was it called?
White Lion or
yeah.
Like that?
You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I did, Jake. Did you guys see the trailer for The Long Walk? I had no idea they were adapting it. I did see it, and it looks like they're gonna do a good job of it.
Oh, sounds cool. I have not seen it.
Yeah. Stephen King's, I think, first novel that he ever completed was The Long Walk, and some people claim it's the greatest novel he ever wrote.
I have not read it.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's in the Bachman books. It's super short. It's a novella.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's probably, I haven't read those. Surprisingly, it's one of those things. There was so much King, and it was like,
let's add it to the secret cult club.
We can do it,
and
we can be in there.
Yeah, that's right. All right, love the Coens. I don't know. Oh, he's saying all right to the new movie. Yeah, it's gonna. It looks good. It really does. Let's see. Maybe it was the Macbeth that featured a young actress as Lady Macbeth. Maybe. Yeah. Now we're gonna have to make a video on Playboy Press.
We will. Right on. That sounds cool.
Hey, Constance, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Kimba the White Lion. Yes,
Kim,
that's it. Exactly.
That's why we have these people here, so they can do these searches for us.
That's right. It's his best work for sure. I really love Carrie. I've been thinking about doing a Carrie video. I know that my favorite work of Stephen King is going to be in the early years, but I can't definitively say right off the bat what's my favorite. But Jake, I can see why. It's an incredible story.
Early King is really interesting because you can feel him sort of reaching for that literary side. Like writing. He's reaching for it a lot stronger than he did later, where he sort of, I don't know that he said he stopped, but he wasn't trying as like earnestly as he was in the early books.
How do we always end up on King at the beginning of the
No, we do.
We always do. Hey, it's Richard. What's up, Richard? The Long Walk was shot in in my province, and it's premiering September. I think he talked about that on Tuesday.
Say that. That's right.
Yeah.
Richard's like, remember when I said this?
Yeah. Roman Polanski directed that one. Hope your daughter is feeling better. Thank you. She is. Her fever broke. It took 2 days. We thought she had COVID, but she doesn't. So yay. And I'm not sick yet, but it did kill a vacation of mine. But you know, here I am hanging with Virgil and talking books. So life is good.
That's good.
What movie is she talking about that was directed by Polanski? Is she talking about Macbeth?
Maybe. I don't remember who directed it. I don't remember anything about it apart from that I saw some of it in high school. I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, The Long Walk was a Bachman book, wasn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of the big four, the early ones. Rage, The Long Walk, The Running Man.
And
help me, Virgil.
I'm not going to be good help. Well, wait a minute. Do I have them back here?
I do, but I don't want to run to my room.
We have this.
Come on, what's
so funny because I have the everything's alphabetized and K is huge. K and H are huge.
Oh my god! In horror, K, man.
A and H. K and H, yeah. Well, because we have a lot of Hamilton and Harris as well.
The last line of Long Walk, no spoiler, is phenomenal. I get chills. Yes. Oh, yes. You know what? And I think I remember it. It's a short line, but it's incredible. Timey, wimey, limey, what's going on?
What's up?
Thinner. No, yes, that's good. What's up? Jimmy, how you doing? Loved your radio show yesterday, man. That was fantastic. I'm kind of jealous of those. That's a good idea, man. That to just sit there and play music and chat with people is really incredible. Yeah, I really love it. And I also love that I can go drive around while listening to it and just play it through my speakers. It's fun.
So what's the channel?
Oh, it's News from the Gelding.
News from the Gelding. Oh, okay. That is the channel name. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, he does great lives. The other day I dropped in and I think he was playing one of Tim's tunes. And it was heavy, kind of death metal, but honestly, it was really, really good. I like metal, but I feel like that kind of low guttural growl metal kind of took over everything. And this one was really cool. I don't know what it was. Maybe Tim will tell us in the chat here. Yes, Thinner was the last Bachman book. That's the one that he got discovered on, but it's not. I'm gonna go get Virgil. Can you talk for a second?
Yeah, I can talk.
I'll be right back.
Well, since we're talking about King, the other thing I've heard, which is a book I've always overlooked, and I didn't give it energy, but I heard it was really good, was Bag of Bones. I've not read it. I don't really remember anything about it, but I remember seeing a review or two that said it was actually a really good King book. So I don't know. It's not one I'm not going to say he's not known for it, but it's not one that you hear people bring up very much.
What book is it?
Bag of Bones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right around the time I stopped reading.
I've heard it's actually good. It is a time when, like, I think people kind of phased out of King for a little while. Or it seemed like his style was changing or something, but I've heard it was good.
Road work.
There you go.
Yep. That was driving me nuts. Okay, let's see if we can catch up here.
I think our Bachmans are paperbacks and they're over here. With we have an old Tim Curry cover for it, and I showed a picture of somebody, and they were like, "Oh, I want that! I wish I had that paperback."
So I didn't even know. It and Night Shift are the two books that I kept, the hardback and the paperback, and I'm going to show one really quick. But really quick, Constance says, "Yeah, she was talking about Macbeth." Okay, let's see. I want to show.
Okay, I'm entertaining again. So
I'm still here.
Steven, if he's still here, we still need to get the sound effects for the vault door opening. Goom, 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 goom. Chains rattling.
There's two that I kept. I kept my copy of it because it's a UK
I like
cover. and I had never seen that cover. So of course I have the regular hardback with the crazy hand coming out of the grate, but that one was new to me. And then this is a book that I would sit and stare at and play with as a kid. I know that sounds weird, but it's this whatever you call it, keyhole cover or whatever, where there's all these eyeballs on Night Shift, and then you open it and it's a person's hand.
I think we have that. Hold on, I'm gonna see. Now I get to get it.
Yeah, now we need your sound effects. Yeah, those are Stephen King covers that I'll always keep. That's correct, Chris. Thanks. Ooh, thinner. Cheers, Chris. Yeah, that was so fun. He's a great dancer. Yes, he is. Okay, so that was Gnome, Belgian stoner metal that Tim was playing. I really enjoyed the end of that I heard. I really did. Standing up to get books. What a surprise.
Okay, so we have that, but it looks like, or Angie, this is probably Angie's cover. I guess it came from something. I guess it came from a library because it has a tag on it.
So that is the cover that happened. This was only the first print of this. Every other one, they just had that. Yeah, so this one I kept, and I had Salem's Lot that was just the vampire with the one drop of red blood that didn't have Stephen King's name on it. I sold it just because I had to pick. Pick, like, am I keeping hardbacks or am I keeping paperbacks?
And we got the
Tim Curry movie tie-in. I remember, like, I can still feel flopping my teenage self onto my couch, super excited to watch that miniseries. And I even drew the adult Beverly character. Like, I paused and tried to draw her. I absolutely loved that miniseries. I really did. It was wonderful.
It is really good.
Jimmy's been listening to that Gnome track on repeat. Always judge a book by its cover. I agree.
I mean, we say we're not supposed to, but we do it.
Yeah, more modern, that's a little hard.
Yeah, there's this. I mean, I think that video by Grammaticus where he talks about the reason covers are the way they are now makes a lot of sense, but you can sort of see where it's like, something is kind of a little bit lost. But then you look at like the paperbacks from Hell covers and stuff like that, and you can tell like those are super iconic. You can see that even when it's small, you can tell what it is.
Yeah,
I could see that. I'm wondering why that isn't going to make a comeback. But
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, now what they've started doing is painting the block edge. They've been like dyeing all around here and stuff with really complex stuff. Richard's reading A Bridge of Years by Robert Charles Wilson, time travel passage in the basement of a home back to 1962 New York. Sound familiar, King fans? Uh-oh. I don't know that book. Are you familiar with that book, Virgil?
No, but the name sounds familiar. I know what I mean? The Robert Charles Wilson. I mean, I remember that. I've heard that writer's name, but I don't know who. I don't know. Time travel, you say?
Love Gnome. You can sleep on the ground. I assume that's got to be a line or one of the names of their songs. Their most recent album is so sick they're going places. Yeah, it sounded really good when I jumped in. I was like, oh, what's Jimmy doing here? And popped in, and it was very heavy inside my room all of a sudden. The only King book that I've read is Duma Key. Boy, it's so funny, Jake. Ever since you brought up with Virgil Duma Key, a lot of people have said I've read Duma Key. Because earlier Jake was saying nobody reads that. I really like the first and second acts, but dislike the third. But it's one of the only horror books I've read, so I'm not a good judge. Yeah,
it's unusual for a horror book, but I liked what it did.
Yeah, there's the always King question: can he end the book well or not? About dang time people are talking about it.
Right.
Duma Key is cool about a painter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found it at the time when I read it. It was a lot of catharsis that I needed when I read it. So it's kind of like it was a good book, and then I really needed to read that book when I read it. So it's kind of like has its own like I guess you could say it's like its own. It gets a bit of nostalgia or a little extra because of what it did.
I'm gonna try to derail our conversation and right into Stephen King's co-writer, and that's Peter Straub.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys read a lot of Peter Straub, but the second book I think that Virgil put on this list, which I've now lost. I had it up on my phone. I just want to make sure. And we don't have to go all the way through this. This is just, was Shadowland by Peter Straub.
Yeah.
Now, Virgil, have you read this one?
I have. I read it like 3 or 4 years ago. Right. I read it right before, or maybe about 6 months before he passed away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I read it. It was still fresh in my mind. I really liked it. The only other Straub, I've not read anything else of his. I don't think. Maybe short stories. I don't know how, maybe. But I mean, I've seen the movie Ghost Story, which I know the movie is not the same as the book, obviously. But
right. I love that movie.
But the beginning of Shadowland just really draws you in so well. And it has a really interesting energy that's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I thought that you would probably like it because there's a lot of fairy tale mixed into the narrative, or it has a lot of fairy tale references.
Yeah, this is the only one I've read, which is his first horror. And many people just call it his first book, but he actually did publish, or maybe he didn't publish. I don't remember. But anyway, I tried to read Ghost Story a couple of times and I haven't been able to finish it. They're talking about King Diamond in the dang chat, and that is super interesting to me.
Okay.
So let me jump on this for just a second.
Right on.
Are you guys aware of Strange Resort podcast by Stephen King Book Club? It's a creative adventure podcast where the protagonist explores popular story locations while unraveling his own mysteries. That sounds awesome. I'm not familiar with that.
Does sound really interesting.
Yeah. Is this like a choose your own adventure podcast idea?
Podcast.
That's cool. My favorite horror by King is King Diamond Abigail. King Diamond, I remember I was living with my dad in California, and there was a guy that lived in the apartment below us that could play Kill 'Em All by Metallica on his guitar, which was the coolest thing I'd ever heard in my life, that he could actually do that. And he had all these King Diamond records. And I remember staring at the covers of these records thinking, like, this has got to be the scariest music ever heard. And then later I was like, dude, I want to check out King Diamond. And I don't remember which one, if it's Abigail or if it's them, but there's one where his grandmother, this might be them, his grandmother plays a huge role. These kids go to their grandma's house and the grandma's like secretly haunted, and King Diamond is like heavy metal, and this guy has like this operatic high voice. And I was listening to this, I was like, this is gonna be so scary, and there's all this heavy metal going on, and then this guy's just screaming grandma at the top of his lungs.
I know I'm King Diamond, but I've never listened to it, so this is something we can listen to on the way to work today.
I was like, what the hell is going on? Like I've never thought I'd be listening to metal with just a guy like screaming grandma operatically at the top of his lungs in like the highest falsetto known to man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God. I like reading books with a beach setting to read while I'm at the beach, so I brought it based on the cover. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man.
It does.
Yeah, Them is better, Guy Gax. Yeah, I don't know which one has the grandma song on it, either Them or Abigail. Let's see. I enjoyed. I can't tell. Do I call you Jimmy or Jim? I enjoyed Doomakey 2. There was a scene that always stuck in my mind: a cartoon bird flying backwards when he travels to the island. Great to see the impromptu live stream pop up on my phone. Have a great afternoon. Off to reading. Enjoy your reading.
Take it easy, Richard. Good to see you.
He's like, these guys are talking about horror.
Come down.
Hell yeah, Them is great. Not Choose Your Own Adventure, but the podcast has cool pictures, sound effects, and interviews people who live in Derry. That's really fun.
It's fun. What a cool idea.
Yeah. Hell yeah, heavy metal. Yellow Podium Blue. Nope. I don't know, Alan. I'm sorry.
The only time I've ever gone someplace based on a book was there. I went to, Cairo, Illinois, because I was met that, which is not super, this isn't close to me, but it isn't super far away. Based on Neil Gaiman's book, American Gods, because they go to Cairo, Illinois. There's like a chapter 2 that happens in Cairo. I thought, oh, that'd be cool.
Does it have one of the cool roadside attractions in Cairo?
Well, you got to wait for this because it's not what you think.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm just saying. So the reason I was going, a little bit longer story, was I bought a motorcycle in Nashville, but I had to bring it home to Missouri. So I rented a car one way and drove it down there and then rode the bike home. And I thought on the way home, I'll get gas in Cairo. Well, that was a huge, not a good idea. Cairo is not a place you want to stop at. It is not. Do not go to Cairo. It's like everything was like, there was nothing. It was like this. It wasn't like super tight, but everything was dilapidated. There were no businesses that I saw. I was driving through this city and they're like, these are all just boarded up houses everywhere. There's nothing. Like I'm like, I don't want to stop here on a motorcycle I just bought, right? And I don't know. And of course, motorcycles don't have gas gauges, so I don't know how much gas I have left.
Right.
I'm like, well, I really don't want to stop here. I'm a little nervous. I'm like, somebody could take this bike. There was like it just was super weird. Really, really, I got a really weird energy from it. Not saying it's a terrible place or anything, but it just got bad energy from it. And I'm like, I can't even there's not even somebody to ask that where is anything at? Where's the gas station?
Anything at?
Yeah, I'm like everything was just overgrown and boarded up, and it's like it looked like a semi-abandoned town. And I'm like, I'm just gonna keep going and hope I don't run out of gas because I'm just gonna keep riding because it was just not giving out good energy. So that was my only experience with trying to visit a place in the real world that I read about in a book.
I think the only time that I've done, trying to think here to make sure this is true. The only time I've done that is Junichiro Tanizaki wrote an essay called In Praise of Shadows that is really kind of considered this theoretical approach to how you can look at Japanese literature, blah, 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 blah. When I went to Japan, I took that with me so that I could read it sitting there in Japan while I was doing it. We hold on, we gotta quickly do this Abigail thing. You could easily get me distracted by talking about music, any kind of music. I'll go for it. Abigail, young bride's fetus becomes possessed by a demon. Oh, that's Abigail. And then them is grandma. Oh, and then grandma drinks blood tea with spirits from beyond. And that must be the grandma song.
That's awesome.
I read In Praise of Shadows. My art tutor recommended it. Yeah, that book was huge for me. I really loved that book. There's so much to unpack in that. I could do such a long video on that. Anyway, nobody's talking about Straub. Julia, I absolutely loved. It was wild. Shadowland, I do want to talk about eventually. So this might end up in the cult. We'll see.
I guess I have read Talisman and Black House, which he co-wrote with King.
Yep.
And I like them both, but I could tell that Straub just sort of exacerbated Stephen King's long-windedness. It just made it worse. So Talisman is way longer than it really needs to be. I still like it, but it's way too long. That's
why I chose this one. I was like, okay, I can handle that. I can handle this. You get to his later stuff like Coco, and I mean, it's I don't know, man. Stephen King made it so that everybody had to write these huge fat novels in the horror genre, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it was just a bloated mess.
Right. Yeah. Some writers can do it and some writers can't.
Yeah. I've only read Talisman. I didn't like it personally. I'll be honest, it's one of the only early Stephen Kings that I DNF'd.
Yeah.
I just petered out. I think what's the kid, Jake? Is that the kid's name? Just
Mm-hmm.
like walking down in the highway. And I know it's cool as shit to think that he's walking simultaneously in two worlds in the multiverse. That is badass. I mean, I should have just been 100% in, and I was bored. And that doesn't make sense with that good of an idea that I should be bored.
Is this like really good? There's some really good stuff with really long interludes of like nothing really happening. The back half of the book gets good, but still, even that has long interludes where you're like, oh, okay.
Can I ask a story? I mean, a question that isn't really a spoiler, and I don't know if you'll know it, Virgil, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Okay. Is the kid Jake in the Talisman the same kid in the Gunslinger, the first novel?
I don't believe so. It is not canonically. I don't think it's ever said to be. They're separate people. It could. I don't know if he's a alternate version. Maybe that could be.
Okay.
I'm not sure about. I don't know. That's maybe a slightly more into the deeper lore. I think that the alternate world that he goes to, which I can't remember what it's called, is obviously is in the Stephen King universe, and there's I think there's some Dark Tower references that get picked up at some point, maybe later in the writing. But directly, no, it's not the same Jake.
Okay. Yeah, I was always wondering that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Goblin reads King, Kuntz, and Straub. Kuntz is the one that I have the hardest time, and I've slowly been squishing down my Kuntz library because I read at the time when they came out. I read them all. Over and over. I loved them, but honestly, I read some John Saul again recently, and I really loved it. I read a little bit of Straub with Julia, and I really loved it. And I picked up Dean Kuntz, and I did not. It didn't do it for me anymore. So I don't know.
Which Kuntz did you read?
I think I tried Phantoms again.
Oh, really? I've been interested in that because it's supposed to be influential on Silent Hill.
Yeah, all I want is the kind of more spiritual stuff. Maybe we'll have to add one of his to
I know
the cult.
Let's see. He does do a couple what I think he does write a few like Stephen King ripoff novels.
Yeah.
Like what's his he has a ripoff of The Mist called The Taking, which actually is pretty fun.
I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can see.
That one's not bad. Intensity is definitely tries to live up to its name, which I remember enjoying.
Yeah, I kept Phantoms, Servants of Twilight, Watchers, The Bad Place, Cold Fire, and Hideaway.
I've not read any of those.
Those are all the early 90s stuff. Let me grab one more thing here.
But I read Dark Rivers of the Heart. That was good. There's that one that's about like a family of clowns that was I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was okay. There were parts of it I liked, and there were parts of it that was just like okay.
I have this, which is huge and massive and wild.
Interesting.
And it's signed on the inside, and it's highly illustrated.
That's so cool.
It's illustrated by Phil Parks.
I don't know if Phil Parks offhand.
I don't either, but it's got a cool wraparound cover. But I don't know. I grabbed this when I saw it just because I grew up with Kuntz. You know what I mean? I really loved him when I was growing up. This reread. Perhaps we'll do one in our super secret society.
Perhaps. Yeah. One to look through. I remember my dad was a big Dean Koontz fan and got me to read him. And so he would say like, oh, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good.
Yeah.
One of the ones he really liked, Dark Rivers of the Heart. And I did like that one. It was an interesting book. There's a couple others that I've read that I enjoyed too.
Yeah, there's this weird cutoff line where I was a super crazy reader, loved school and all that. And then right around the time that in high school that I discovered drugs, like I stopped reading everything.
Well, that's so how that works.
So now I've had to come back and like reread some of these and see what I really like. Is it too early to talk about this?
I don't think so.
Do it.
So I believe our next guest, when we do our live show, our literally liminal show, is going to be Curtis from Deep in the Reads.
Yay!
And actually, pertinent story. He could probably chime in. He had he was talking about how he has pictures of the actual covers for like different albums where he was like at the location where they took the picture, and he took a picture and tried to mimic the picture. He had a couple of them. I can't remember the bands offhand, so I'm just going to get them wrong if I try to list them off. But he had a few of them, and they were pretty cool. It was kind of cool. He's like, look, he's like, do you know what this cover is? And I'm like, and he's like, it's this. And I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Hey, bring those to the live show. Let's do a guessing game.
Yeah, that would be cool. That is a really good idea.
Yeah, you can put them up and we can see if people can get the covers. That would be awesome. I love that idea. I love the multiverse even more than time travel. Speaking of, I finished Dark. I watched the last episode of Dark. If you don't mind being confused about timelines and stuff, I think it was a fun show. Oh, cool. I think they wrapped it up. I really enjoyed it. I wish I had a huge map on my wall of who the hell everybody was in which timeline, but
red string diagram.
Yeah, that's right. But other than that, I did enjoy it. It was fun. All right, Curtis is his name, right? Deep in the Reads.
You Curtis, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The only Straub novel I read was Ghost Story, and now I'm not sure I want to read anything else by him. Yeah, he is dry. He's super dry. And Julia, I really loved, and it surprised me because I've tried to get through Ghost Story like 3 times, and every time I get about 50 pages in and I just crash. I can't do it.
I like Shadowlands. Shadowlands, I mean, again, I've not really read any of his other novels, so I can't compare it, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and it was, it's all about magic.
It's his second book, so I feel like he hasn't hit that, let's make them all this thick, which Tim has opinions on. I'm done with fat books. The publishing industry needs Weight Watchers. I agree.
Yes. I think, there's so many books that are just like, and I try not to say it too much in reviews, but there's so many times I think like, where's the editor? Like, somebody needed to say this book needs to be like 3 chapters less, for sure. Yeah. It just needs to happen. And it hurts the book.
In prog rock, so many people were just doing these songs that were sidelong epics just because they felt like they had to do a sidelong epic. And you could always tell when their heart wasn't in it. Like, you need to earn your length. There are certain books that have to be as long as they are. Like Blackwater. I don't think that needed to be any shorter. And that's fat. I mean, seriously, that is a fat book. And I think it earned its girth.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a point in Blackwater you're thinking like, how much more do I got to read? You're just like, my goodness, I've read so much.
Yeah, seriously. And when it ended, I was like, they could have done The Next Generation.
Right. Where's the next part?
Well, that's right. Okay, I got to catch up on comments. Jake actually grows up to be Pulp Mortem. It's canon. I agree. That's now canon forever. Talisman is the story, is Pulp Mortem's origin story.
This whole time, I didn't know.
I'm finally getting around to reading Dark Matter, buddy read. So I think that's Blake. I always want to say Couch.
Yeah, I don't remember. I said book my wife recommended to me.
Yeah, I watched the TV show.
She did too, and she's like, "You should read the book. It's good."
The TV.
Do I have a note? I might even.
The TV show was fun. It was multiverse jumping. Good time. The characters annoyed me. I felt like that I didn't really much care for the characters. Dragon Tears is my favorite Dean Koontz.
I like Dragon Tears. That was another one I read.
I'm the opposite.
It starts very strange, and then it pivots, and it's like one of those books where it's like it starts here and it just goes way over here and comes back around. I really liked that journey that it took me on.
I don't know that one, and I don't have it.
I think I do. Maybe. I think we do. Or is it over there? Oh, I think I just saw it. But I can't tell. Trying to read and talk at the same time, it doesn't work.
Oh, chicken jockey.
Yeah.
He's made it every time.
Yes.
Kuntz always felt like Temu King. You had a short story that I really liked, but he had a short story. You had a short story that I really liked, but I can't remember it. Yeah. I a lot of people, and that's unfortunately a lot of writers get tagged with that almost king or wannabe king, or but I think Kuntz was definitely, I always think of the Family Guy joke where of course, Stephen King was hit by somebody in a van, which was very sad. But there's a Family Guy joke where I think Peter's driving and he hits somebody. He's like, "Oh my God, I hit Stephen King." And it turns out it's Dean Kuntz, and he puts it in reverse and backs over him. So yeah, there's definitely a.
I didn't see that one. Oh, I should. The other thing that I read that I liked, but it's a little different, is his Odd Thomas. I really liked Odd Thomas.
I've heard good things about Odd Thomas, isn't it? Oh no, there was a movie about it.
There is.
Yeah.
The same. I think the actor was the same guy. Didn't he play Chekhov? Is it the same guy? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Anyway, but yeah, the movie. I don't remember the movie.
That's like superpowers people, right?
No, Odd Thomas.
Yeah, doesn't he have like some kind of psychic ability?
More like it's kind of young adultish. I don't remember. I don't think he has superpowers.
I don't remember. All I did was watch the show. I was out of Kuntz by that time.
Well, yeah. So it's a young guy who's a short order cook, and he can communicate with the dead, I think.
Oh, that's his superpower.
Yeah,
he's got a sixth sense.
I was like, no, he doesn't.
He's got a sixth sense going on.
Yeah.
I can try with the album covers. So there's only maybe 3 cases where I still have the picks. Perfect. We'll do 3 of them.
3's a good number.
I used to live near the church on BOC live album On Your Feet. I feel like I don't know BOC.
It's like right there.
You know it, but you can't think of it?
I can't.
Dang it.
I lost that one.
Just dropped in to say hello and that I appreciate your channels. Subscribe to both. Greetings from Bulgaria. Thank you very much for jumping on and saying hi. Awesome. Yeah. I love the internet. I hate it and I love it. It's amazing.
It is. It's so cool too when somebody's like, "Hey, I'm over here and I'm on this other side of the planet and I'm over here." And this is so awesome. I don't know. I think it's really cool.
My kid playing Minecraft has grown up with friends from all over the world. I mean, it's amazing. It's really incredible how diverse a friend group she has. It's wild.
So cool.
Why is it wrong though? Is it pacing? Shit, I don't remember what we were talking about.
I don't either.
Oh, hey, okay, Curtis, I'm with you. Thick as a Brick is an album that earns it 100%. I love Thick as a Brick.
I love that.
I played the shit out of that record. Yeah, that one earns it. That one definitely earns it. And I love most of them, but every once in a while you started getting these into the late 70s. The entire thing that punk revolted against were these people that just started doing sidelong epics because they felt like they had to sell the record, because prog made it so that everybody had to have these big long songs. So of course all punk rock songs were like 30 seconds long, and none of them were great at their instruments, because they were tired of that. It got to the point of being for its own sake, right? I'm going to make it long for its own sake, which is by definition pretentious. Doing something for its own sake is pretentious. But no, I think most of the sidelong songs you're going to bring up, Echoes by Pink Floyd, Supper's Ready by Genesis, all of these I believe earned their length and are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Echoes is my favorite Floyd album.
song. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's on Metal. Yeah, that's a good one. It's also my kid's favorite.
Oh, Metal. I'm sorry, you're right. Metal is the title. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that whole album.
Metal's and it's funny because, of course, I started with the big four for Pink Floyd. We should do a live show over at the Liminal Spaces Talks Music.
I love Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is my for a band. That's my favorite band. I don't know if I don't listen to them as much because it's like you over listen to something and you can't hear it anymore. So I go for a long period of time where I won't listen to Pink Floyd at all. But
yeah,
I love
you can overdo it. No, I went nuts. Like I went and found. I got the dang early years box set that had all the bootleg videos and stuff on it. It was incredible. Let me grab something really quick.
All right, that sounds cool.
Pink Floyd. I'm not.
I do love Pink Floyd.
That's too hard to get to.
I don't think I've ever. Maybe I don't know. I don't think there's anything Pink Floyd I don't like. There's stuff that I don't like as much, but I just don't think there's anything I don't like. Maybe the real late stuff isn't as exciting to me.
Yeah, I enjoy it all, but there's definitely periods that aren't as great as other periods.
Ooh,
Metal.
Yes.
Which my daughter was looking at the other day, and she's like, I can see a face in there. And I'm like, it's an ear. And it really is an ear. That's a picture of an ear that Hypnosis messed with. And then you got the iconic picture of the fellas in there. Okay, we got to stop talking about music.
I don't know. Are you sure?
I am unashamed to say that I love short movies and short books. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
There's something we said about being succinct. Earn your girth. That's right. Good comment. Earn it.
He's just quoting me. Earn your girth. Got to get fellas. Thanks. We've got to get you all together separately on Greg and my Monday live show, August. I'd love to. Would absolutely love to.
Sounds good. I think so.
Anton Yelchin, correct. It was Chekhov. Yes, you were right.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
I know we got to catch back up.
I'm still on Pink Floyd. I was still thinking about Pink Floyd. It was in my head.
Cheers, chaps. I've really enjoyed this, but got to go to my bedchamber now. But we'll listen to the rest tomorrow.
Take it easy,
Thanks, Jimmy.
Great. Thanks so much for showing up.
Blue Oyster Cult. I do like Blue Oyster Cult.
Mm-hmm.
I always will randomly scream. He picks up a bus and throws it down because that's like the best shit ever.
It's something they're like, you know what? That's right. I saw my guys. Let's do it. Nobody else will do it.
Jim retires to his Wizard's Tower. Indeed, drinking 12-year-old scotch. Thick as a Brick was written as a joke about pretentious long prog rock. I bet you're right. I'll bet you're right. That's that perfectly encompasses Jethro Tull, in my opinion. Because they're like, well, how about we have 2 side-long prog epic? My favorite long ass song, recording may be more accurate, was Zappa's "So Happy Together." I like Frank Zappa, and I'm not able to pull that up in my brain right now, but I'm going to go listen to it after this is done.
I need to listen to more Frank Zappa. That's one of those. That's an artist that him and Captain Beefheart were two.
Yeah, like, Captain Beefheart, dude.
I just don't have a good entry point. I'm still trying to like. Sometimes I need like a hook.
Trout
to hook me.
Yeah, Trout,
and then I'm stuck.
Trout Mask Replica, I think, is the Captain Beefheart album that I had that I used to listen to. And the way that I always thought of it was that it's kind of Tom Waits before Tom Waits.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Sorry, I was asking about why bigger books are not a good thing. Is it a story pacing issue? No. God, that's a good question. And I'm glad you're making us think about it harder than just a throwaway comment. It's
for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
A book is really long, and there can be a point where you can tell that this novel is just padding. You know what I always think of, and I don't know if it's the best example, but Neil Stephenson's Cryptonomicon.
Yeah.
There's a long section in there where he talks about eating breakfast cereal. I think I remember like a long thing, and it was just like I think that he's trying to say, maybe he's trying to say something, but I also feel like it was just sort of a waste of my time. That is probably even not a great example because what I usually think of is somebody like a fantasy writer, like Robert Jordan usually comes to mind, and these just really, really stretched out narratives. And let's just go over here and just talk about this for a little while and over here.
My
And
aunt
some
gave me
people like
a
they're
book
huge.
recently that was called like the Orange Tree Priory or something, and it was like, I don't know, I couldn't get my damn hands around it.
And it could, if things are happening and it's pertinent, then it's fine. But a lot of times it's like they're just the writers just run wild and the editor's not like, hey, listen, this doesn't have anything to do with anything else, and it really brings the story down because we're being distracted. The pacing gets off. Usually you get bored.
And that's the complexity of the issue, because the 1991 fully unabridged version of The Stand was, I ate it up. It was perfect. I loved every minute. I never wanted it to end. Michael McDowell's Blackwater. I loved every minute of that. That was recently. I tried to read Under the Dome and petered out because for me, the hook of the story is, what's this dome? And then suddenly Stephen King's like, now I'd like to introduce you to this son of a cop who's kind of a weird guy. And I don't really remember the characters because I quit. But and I'm like, okay, that's cool. What the hell is that dome? And he's like, now let me tell you about what society's going to do when it's isolated. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. What the hell is that dome? And I couldn't, the idea of the dome was so wild that I could not let it be what King wanted it to be, which was like, the dome doesn't matter. It's a way to isolate this community so I can show you how effed up people are to each other when they're isolated, which is great, and it's probably a good book, but I just couldn't get past it because it just felt like I was trying to trudge through. I don't know if it's a pacing issue.
You know, and there's something to be said too, and I need to make sure to say this, that some people want that comfortable, slow narrative when they read something. I think this is maybe fantasy in particular caters to this. They want that slower story where they relax and they get to just sort of, they get long descriptions of the environment and of the characters just maybe not doing a whole lot, almost slice of life type stuff.
Yeah.
And people really enjoy that. And so there is some people do write their books for that audience, and that's fine. I just don't enjoy it.
Sometimes I do.
Too much.
I mean, it's weird. If you think of the Book of the New Sun, that book is stupid fat, and large chunks of that book are descriptions of the world that we can't understand. But there's something that differentiates it for us from the other stuff. The David Eddings. I don't know. I just pulled that name out of my ass. I've never read any David Eddings.
I think I've read. No, I haven't read David Eddings.
Yeah. It's weird. It depends on how good the writer is.
It really does. If sometimes they can sell it, and I can be on that trip, that journey for a little while, but if I'm out there too long, I kind of get sort of, you lose steam. You kind of forget, like, why was I reading this book? What, it's just,
yeah.
Me, it's like I want that story to pull me through, and if it's just I'm just reading something to read, it's like I always think, well, I have something else I can read where something is happening or something. I don't know. It is a little bit hard.
Earn your girth.
Earn your girth. You know what I mean? It's a little harder to articulate than I thought. If I'm thinking, I guess I'm thinking about it more.
It's a complex question because there are fat books that I will swear by. All right, I'm switching up the conversation.
It was a great question. Thank you.
I watched Pink Floyd at Pompeii as a little kid and was completely blown away. Agreed. If you ever want to see my brother and I get into a fight, bring up Pink Floyd and Pompeii. He thought it was hippy dippy nonsense, and it like rewired my freaking brain. Did you know they are releasing a new 4K transfer of it? In fact, it was just recently in IMAX theaters. And I had to choose between seeing Pink Floyd live in Pompeii on IMAX or going and seeing Perfect Circle Pussifer and Primus, and I loved Primus when I was growing up, so I went to the concert and saw that instead. So I missed Pink Floyd live in Pompeii, but you can order this new restoration now, and it's supposed to be absolutely incredible, remastered.
Awesome. And yeah, it's great.
Blue Oyster Cult. Oops, I didn't actually change it. There we go.
Oh, that's when you say BOC earlier, and we're like, what was it?
Oh,
we just completely blanked on it. I was like, seems like I know what this is, but it was like, I forgot.
Yeah. Thank you, Curtis. Yep.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, everybody. But everybody's like, what?
I'm a hypocrite. I hate long books, but I love long droning doom metal tracks. Tim, if you're still on, have you heard of the band called Misery Wizard?
Interesting.
If you haven't, go check it out. I love it. Unfortunately, the lead singer passed away, which made me really sad. But I think they have the album I love is called Pilgrim, and the songs are all like 10 minutes long, but he sings in a unique way. There's no guttural growl or anything. Misery Wizard, I believe, is the name of the band. Am I getting this wrong? Is the name of the band Pilgrim and the album Misery Wizard? No, I think Misery Wizard is the name of the band. Let me know if you're still here, Tim, if you've heard of that.
While we're on the subject, or sort of on music, Curtis and I were recently talking about Acid Bath, the band, and we just happened to be talking about it. And then I saw, like, I think yesterday, that they're going to either tour again or they have another album coming out or something. There's something going on with them. So I was like,
I'm not familiar with them.
Oh yeah, this lead singer sounds very much like Chris Cornell, which is what originally sort of like piqued my interest. I'm like, is this Chris Cornell? Like, no, it's not.
Is Black Hole Sun Chris Cornell?
Yes, Black Hole Sun is Chris Cornell.
I just saw somebody doing a cover of Black Hole Sun as if it was Cartman, and it was freaking hilarious. Speaking of awesome bands being name dropped by Curtis, if we're talking about long songs, I love Sleep's 64-minute Dope Smoker. Agree. Genre changing album right there. I saw them play half of it live. Swans. So Michael Gira and the Swans, Gira, I always say his name wrong, is probably was my favorite band for all of my teenage years. I was a Swans fanatic. I started with White Light from the Mouth of Infinity. If you go to my music channel, I talk about him a couple of times. And yes, his new stuff, I think The Knot is 45 minutes long. And he's become like this weird rhythm shaman. It's really wild. I have a tendency to go for the older Swan stuff, but yeah, I appreciate them being brought up, and of course, Sleep, Smoke, both great freaking albums. I think you and I are going to get along, Curtis.
Yes, similar music tastes.
Yeah. I'm super new to writing my own stories and to literature in general, so any technical explanation is welcome.
I guess it will. All right, so we'll have to do that. We'll have to have a talk about why long books are problematic, or it can be problematic.
Well, and you and I are both writers, or try to be, right, Virgil? So
yes, we do.
if you ever want to chat, let me know. Hey, we can make a live thing out of it, just talking about the craft of writing. And I've taught creative writing quite a bit, so we should be able to talk about some really fun stuff.
I think so. That sounds like a really good time.
So Happy Together is live, maybe on Live from the Fillmore East. I'm gonna have to look into it. Frank Zappa's rock stuff. Frank Zappa rock stuff. Listen to Apostrophe, Overnight Sensation. I can't even read that. Or You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, Volume 2. Fantastic. We're going to talk about Frank Zappa.
Yeah, I need to do more Zappa for sure.
I have never read a worse ending than Under the Dome. Made me swear off Stephen King for 10 years. Thank God. All right. And it's funny because there's a TV show of it. I still don't know what the hell the dome is. And I've asked people to spoil it for me. So don't spoil it here on the channel. That's rude. But maybe when you're on our next live, before we go live, I'll ask you to spoil the ending for me, because I want to know, but it's like I care just enough to not do anything about it. Yeah. I've been reading the Book of the New Sun books thanks to Chris. Thank you. I'm amazed that the scope of those books feels so wide and deep while being so much shorter than the Lord of the Rings and other epics like that. If we put them all together, are they shorter than the Lord of the Rings? I think
Probably not.
I feel like they're longer than the Lord of the Rings if you put them all together.
Yeah, because remember there's a huge bit of exposition at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, isn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a whole thing on hobbits, and then like the end of Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King is like only half story, and the other half is just like appendices, isn't it? Like,
but I feel like if I grabbed my Lord of the Rings and my
physically, like if you were like word count, it probably still is less.
Lord of the Rings is less, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
it is only 3 books, and their book lengths are similar-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I would say New Sun is longer. But not a whole lot long.
I've avoided talking about Lord of the Rings for a long time because I have kind of an unpopular opinion.
Well, I'm down with it if you want to hear. I like Lord of the Rings, but I'm not a fanatic.
Jake pointed out my propensity to not want to say anything really truly negative about things. So let me say this in the most crisp possible way I can. I really loved The Hobbit growing up.
I did too.
Lord of the Rings, like around the second book is when I quit. Like halfway through the second book is when I quit. Because it's very difficult for me to read the story of somebody trudging through the world sad as hell and nothing's good and there's no hope or anything. I don't know. Yeah. I shouldn't even be talking about it because I didn't finish it. I don't have the right to talk about it.
Well, you make a good point because the Two Towers, the first half, I think, is all like Aragon and Gimli and all them, I think, isn't it? I think it's all that stuff. And then it's not like the movie where it goes back and forth. It's all one thing, and then it's all the other. So it's all in Mordor, and it's, if I remember correctly, and it's all in Rohan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In the first half, Rohan, if I remember correctly, but it's been a long time. And they even say, I think Sam even says to Frodo somewhere in the book, I remember this line, Mr. Frodo, if this were a book, I would close it right now and put it down and never pick it back up again, or something like that. He's like says that they say that to each other.
And I have to give J.R.R. Tolkien credit, like straight up, this is some of the most important writing of our time. It influenced the entire fantasy genre, and The Hobbit influenced my entire childhood. Like D&D to me is The Hobbit. You know what I mean? It's just that's exactly what it is. So I love J.R.R. Tolkien. I love The Hobbit. I just could never.
I think I was so hungry for fantasy, and that's why I finished it. It was a tough book to finish at my age.
I secretly scrolled down. We still have a lot of comments above, but I just wanted to make sure nobody was like, I'm going to kill you. And luckily, nobody said that. But Tim, I promise.
I didn't say anything offensive.
I completely understand how important, and I love all the same things J.R.R. Tolkien did. I love the old sagas. I love that he was so obsessed with language. But yeah, it just
I had to DNF the Silmarillion. I could when it was all the like backstory, the world building stuff, I just didn't. I was younger, obviously, but I just couldn't get through it.
Yeah. Curtis said something interesting here. The lack of intercutting in Lord of the Rings 2 is genius, but it works against the third book so hard. Ruins all the narrative momentum and tension. I've read it twice, trying to love it, but I'm just lukewarm. Yeah, it's weird because like the Ents were cool as shit. And I was reading and I was like, what? Trees take forever to talk to each other. And that's where I petered out. Like to me, that was like the most interesting part. And that's where I quit. And I don't know what that says. Okay, Tim, coming to bat. Yes, but Sam says that right before one of the greatest heroic second wins in all of fantasy.
Yes, and that's the thing. At the very end of the second book is really good. It is really good. It does pull itself right back out. So it is. I do remember it being a slog, but it does have a great finale. Finale. Whatever.
Finale. Denouement.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was trying to say.
LOL, I DNF'd Lord of the Rings 2, bugs Tim a lot. All right. A bit. Bugs Tim a bit.
I had a lot.
DNFing Silmarillion is understandable. All right, there you go. I've never even tried to read Lord of the Rings there. I said it. Okay. And I
think everybody should try The Hobbit. I think The Hobbit is worth reading.
Agreed. Hobbit is some of the best fantasy. I've got a kick-ass. I wonder if I'm going to be able to get to this. I've got really kick-ass versions of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings that I probably don't deserve, that I should probably just send to Tim.
Don't deserve.
But they're worth so much. Yeah, I'll keep my Hobbit. Let me grab these.
I don't think you know what's weird? I'm not sure if I have a copy of The Hobbit anymore, which seems weird. I'll stay here. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I've got a really old version of The Hobbit.
Ooh, it is cool.
Yeah, it's got a price of $3.95 on the dust jacket.
Oh, awesome.
And probably one of my favorite children's books of all time.
Yeah.
And then I think Grammaticus did a great video showing off a set similar to this.
Oh, very
cool. Of the Lord of the Rings. I think this is a second edition, like later print. I don't know, but they have maps, and watching Grammaticus trying to fold out these maps in this is fun and hilarious.
All right, I'm grabbing my Lord of the Rings. I'll show you what I've got.
Okay, good.
It's not super ancient or anything though.
Let's see. Well, I have read The Hobbit. Yeah. Brian, I want my Talisman books back. You slug. Oh, Trailsman books.
You slug. So I bought this. I had an old paperback copy as a kid, and then right before the movie came out, I think this is right before the movie came out, they put out the Millennium Edition. So I got the Millennium Edition where it has each one of the books is published as a separate volume. So I bought this, and a good friend of mine bought the leather edition that they came out with that had everything in one big book. And I've seen that before. I know I've known people who read Lord of the Rings like once a year.
Right.
And that's how they had it. It was almost like a big red Bible that they would read or something. And I always thought that was cool. But I got this edition. I've never read from this edition. And that is in one of the moves, the E got dinged, unfortunately. But yeah, I was kind of neat. I liked that each book was, because I think it's written as 7 separate books or something like that. And so it's all split. So it split it up the way he kind of had it or something. I can't remember why.
Interesting.
It was something along those lines.
I don't know what the hell this is.
That's I have one of those books. My wife got me one. The story that I think Aragon tells.
Is this from the Silmarillion or what's it from?
I think no, I don't think it's like other writings that he did. So the Silmarillion was like some stuff, and then I think he did other stuff, other notes that his son published. But I have the
why isn't this famous as hell? As popular as the Lord of the Rings trilogy is this another trilogy? A second trilogy?
Those are like notes. Those are like other stories that were kind of like put together by his son and stuff like that. I think, and my understanding, I don't know if I don't know exactly what they read like. I don't know if it's how edited or how assembled they are.
I think Matthew G is talking about them right here. Those 3 lays are wonderful. They're expanded from the Silmarillion. So did his son expand them, or
I don't know.
Alternate versions of stories from the Silmarillion? Okay, here we go. Everybody's telling us now. They're alternate versions of stories from the Silmarillion, mostly notes by Christopher Tolkien.
Okay.
Are they readable? I read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings out loud to my 10 and 8-year-old boys while answering every question they had about it. I used to be a very dedicated Tolkien fan. That's awesome.
That reminds me, I have my youngest sister is about 10 years younger than me. And when she was young, I would read her The Hobbit. When she was bored, I'd be like, okay, we'll read you The Hobbit, because I liked it. And so she liked it. That was kind of cool. So she literally loves that series too. So it was kind of a cool thing we got to do together.
Curtis says those came out well after Tolkien died, made by Christopher Tolkien using Tolkien's notes. All 3 stories appear in the Silmarillion. Silmarillion, Beren and Luthien, Children of Húrin, and Fall of Gondolin are excellent. Yes, expanded by Christopher.
Yeah, I have Beren and Luthien, which I think.
You guys think I'd like them better than Lord of the Rings? Are they hopeful? Are they fun?
I would be interested. I have the Beren and Luthien that my wife got me. It's supposed to be like the sort of love story Aragorn tells Frodo and Sam when they're kind of in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of brings up that story he's telling them by the campfire or something. Kind of like Weathertop. Is it at Weathertop he tells them?
Isn't all of Lord of the Rings just told by around the campfire?
A lot of it.
They are readable and wonderful. This stuff is of a piece with Beowulf, Calavella, etc. I love that kind of stuff, and I know that J.R.R. Tolkien did too. I just kept a science fiction series that I was going to send to Jake because it's about the Calavella. I don't know if I'm saying that. Cavella? Am I saying that right? Yeah, Calavella. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Should I scroll back up and hit the comments that I missed?
Yeah, we can do that. We can at least pop through them, maybe.
Yeah, we'll go quick. Because I knew that I had to scroll down for
after you said that, you're like, all right, I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna have to go all the way to the bottom and see what happens.
I don't know where we left off.
Everybody leaves the live stream.
Yeah, that's right.
Hello.
Hey Jack, how are you doing? But short fantasy can be epic without the lengths. That's absolutely true. And you put good examples here. Conan and Elric.
That's why I like Sword and Sorcery, is because it's usually very, very sharp and quick.
Yeah. I mean, the scope, and I'm sorry to sound like a broken record because I haven't moved on to my second Conan yet, which I will be doing soon. The scope that is covered in Tower of the Elephant is huge. I mean, and it spans the universe. It was incredible. I'm going to try to get through these quick. For me, a big book loses momentum when it introduces subplots to subplots that do not resolve themselves. It feels like they were added to add a fake depth. What is the George R.R. Martin thing?
Song of Fire and Ice?
Games upon games or something. I can't remember. There was a quote that everybody...
okay. I thought you were trying to name the series.
Primus sucks. That was what everybody was screaming at the concert. Looking up Misery Wizard. Thanks. I hope you like it, Tim. It's for me a very unique metal. Parts of the heaviness of it sounds like Early Swans, but with a different singer. Really enjoyable. Acid Bath just played their first show 28 years to the day since they broke up following the death of their bassist. It's a huge deal for fans who thought it might never happen.
Awesome.
I got to check out this Acid Bath band. I don't know it.
Might like.
An exchange of writing tips sounds like an awesome idea to me. We might have to do a themed live and just do it.
Okay. I don't know if I can give out tips, but sure.
Actually, it's 28 years since you've been published more recently than I have.
Well, actually, all right.
Actually, it's 28 years since our last show, to be precise. If I literally made up an ending of Under the Dome off the top of my head, you'd believe me because it's better than what's actually in the book. I'm really looking forward to hearing this.
That's awesome.
I checked the word counts of Lord of the Ring and New Sun with Google AI, so maybe it lied to me. Yeah, well, it depends on if it's Shadow of the Torture or the entirety of the Book of the New Sun. I don't know. And there we go. We made it through. Let's see what people are talking about now. I like them. They're more like poetry. Speaking about these stories again. Yeah, this might be another way into Tolkien for me. They are readable and wonderful. Oh yeah, we already did that. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Everybody said what they wanted to say. So now I want to say back to what I was doing.
Revisiting.
Another book he put on the list was Harvest Home. Has anybody read Harvest Home? I believe Thomas Tryon wrote The Other, which was a huge deal. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. A novel by the author of The Other. And I think he was also like a leading man in Hollywood. And I've heard this is kick-ass folk horror. And I love folk horror. So this one was kind of high on my list of one of the ones to choose to chat about. I don't know if anybody's read this or if they've got any folk horror fans in the.
The green was the green top green print on the top of the book added, or
no? Yeah, that's the original.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep, it's got.
I don't know why. It's
There's
always
a name
seems
for this.
Where's Richard when we need him? He's reading somewhere.
Right, he's reading when you need him.
Stop reading and tell us what this is called, Richard. We need you.
I don't think this ended up on there, did it?
I did not put that one in there, but we could totally check that one out too.
Yeah,
you talked about how much you liked it. I've read one John Saul, and I cannot remember the title of the book.
It wasn't the Blackstone Chronicles, was it?
Oh, I think it might have been.
Yeah, it starts with the doll, and then there's all these cursed items that this person's.
But I only read one book, so there's more than one.
Well, okay. Talk for a minute.
John Saul. Well, I only read one. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember there were two kids, and it's been a long time, so that's about all I can remember. It sounds creepy though, doesn't it? Two kids. Creepy.
Well, the first part.
I got nothing.
The first part of the doll is what it's called. So Stephen King did The Green Mile, and he did it in episodic release. I forgot what it's called.
Serialized?
Yeah, serialized. So the Blackstone Chronicles by John Saul were serialized, but then they were put into one hardback.
Well, I wonder if I read the whole thing then.
Because the doll is the best one. The first one is the best one. If you're going to read John Saul, you've got to read one of these two.
Okay.
They're
just I don't know if I've read the whole thing.
It's like Needful Things.
That sounds right. That sounds kind of like what I remember, but it's been super long.
No, John, I don't think that's true. So he says the leading man you mentioned was Tyrone Power. No, Thomas Tryon was an actor. I promise you. But now I'm going to look it up to see if I'm wrong, because I could be.
He told me. I said, okay.
Tryon.
It was easy. It was an easy sell.
Okay.
We went and made an IMDb up for him and everything.
Thomas Lester Tryon was an American actor and novelist. As an actor, he was billed as Tom Tryon and is best known for playing the title role in the film The Cardinal. He also did stuff in war films. I guess I shouldn't show my phone on the internet. Yeah. Color block? Yeah, I know. Yeah, you might be right, Jake. Because this, of course, is the block of the book, and I don't know. I always like it. I do too.
I don't know why. It's so easy to sell somebody. It's like this has nothing to do with the story at all, but it's like, oh, I just love it.
Acid Bath is an evil metal piece. Damn. No, all good. I just when I saw that, I was like, no, I swear Thomas Tryon was an actor. Yeah. Has anybody read that? I guess not. See, I think we're going to be talking about stuff that people don't usually talk about.
Well, that's what I think that's what's fun to do.
Yeah.
That's why even though we end up talking about him all the time, that's why I don't really want to review a lot of Stephen King or talk about it.
Right.
It's so easy to find. There's so many people talking about it. Well, that's easy. Let's talk about something that isn't getting talked about that should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now that we've said that, we'll bring up the one that everybody's going to talk about. Something Wicked This Way Comes, Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, I put that on there, even though it's because I think you said something last year. I don't remember what video this was.
I made a video that says, "Why don't people talk about Ray Bradbury more?"
And that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, yeah, you really don't see a whole lot. You see a little bit. I mean, now that I watch more BookTube, I see a little, but not a lot. Not a lot.
And I wonder if it's because of the Stephen King syndrome. I wonder if it's because he was the sci-fi writer that bridged into literature, that like every college, when you brought up sci-fi, would be like Ray Bradbury, because he was the one, you know what I mean? And I wonder if that's why people don't really chat about him anymore.
Yeah. And he's a little hard to classify too, because it's like kind of in the same way that Harlan Ellison is a speculative fiction writer. he's a little bit more speculative fiction, because it's like he doesn't focus on the science so much. He kind of they're kind of like horror stories sometimes, or fantasy stories.
So many horror stories. I mean,
and they're so good too. He had such a talent. For those.
His first novel, Dark Carnival, I've been reading through that on the channel. Just weird tale after weird tale, scary. And one of the things that I've noticed about Ray Bradbury is that he writes about science, but he's kind of anti-technology. So it's really strange. It's not like Arthur C. Clarke, where you're just basking in the incredibleness of technology. It's like, oh shit, this technology is going to kill us. Like he's constantly warning you off of technology, which is so strange in a sci-fi book. And I know it happens all the time. But yeah,
it's very, very pervasive.
Yeah,
for Bradbury.
Jake loves Something Wicked This Way Comes. Yeah, I've heard great things about it.
It's such a good book.
I don't know Crowbar either, but man, do I got some bands to listen to. I just got a giant book of Bradbury's short stories for 25 cents. I'm looking forward to getting through it. So my kids had some good English classes, and she had to read a Ray Bradbury story in one of them, and I can't remember what the name is, but it's the one where they're on Venus and the sun only comes out like once every 7 years, and this kid's from Earth and is having a really hard time. And I just remember we read it together, and I closed it, and she sat there and wept for like 20 minutes. Like that was the reaction that my daughter had to Ray Bradbury, and that is incredible. That is I mean, that's some incredible writing there, right there.
My favorite Ray Bradbury story is Homecoming. The one that's kind of like a little, it's like a family, kind of like the Munsters or something, and the little boy is just a regular kid.
Yes,
his family's all monsters.
I think Jason talked about that on the channel.
He did. He did. I was so excited that he talked about it. I love that story so much. Maybe one of my absolute favorite short stories of all time.
Yeah.
It really is so great. And it's in October Country.
So October Country was excellent and beautifully illustrated. October Country is also half of Dark Carnival. So Dark Carnival was published by Arkham Press. Man, I wish I had like a first edition I could pull out of Dark Carnival. I'd be the coolest kid on the block. But it didn't go. I mean, it didn't really go anywhere. It was pretty popular, but it didn't do as much as he wanted. So once Something Wicked This Way came out, and what was the other one that came out? Oh, when did Fahrenheit 451 come? Anyway, eventually he redid. He took all the stories that he actually liked from Dark Carnival, and that was half of October Country. Liminal Spaces. I watched your Moorcock collection vid. I haven't read him yet, but Own Gloriana by him. Have you read it? No, but it looks really interesting. It looks closer to historical fiction in a way than it does fantasy. I've been interested in reading that one as well, but it's thick. Damn it. Thick books. I read that story on a whim at the library last year, Chris. It was truly impacting. Seriously. I mean, the power of short story is incredible. It really is. I completely forgot about it until now. Yeah, it's a core memory. You got it back. I couldn't believe it, man. Well, I mean, it's just such good writing. Another guy that seems forgotten. All right, this is all for you, Virgil. Is Brian Lumley. Virgil has a great video on book 1 of Necroscope about a year ago, I think. When will we see the other reviews?
I am planning to read Vampire this year, probably in the next couple months. It should be this summer. I've got a whole bunch of like first book in a series videos, and I want to follow up on those, and that's one of the ones I definitely want to follow up on. I really enjoyed the second book a lot. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, the way I always tell people, like, try to describe it, is it's sort of like the X-Men, like a horror version of them. it's kind of like that. I love it. It was such a great. It had great energy.
So I kept any Lumley associated with the Cthulhu mythos, because I've heard he's absolutely incredible at that.
Titus Crow stuff, I think.
Yeah, but I didn't. I'll be honest. I got rid of much of the series, and that was actually because of you, Virgil. I watched that and went, okay, this is not the guy for me, and that's okay.
That's what the video does, right? I think some of his non-Cthulhu short stories are really good too. He had a collection I remember reading a long time ago called "Fruiting Bodies and Other Fungi." It was I remember reading really good.
Oh God!
Wait a minute, we are getting sound effects.
Yeah, that's me almost breaking the glass of my barrister bookcase.
Yeah, I remember really liking that one.
I kept it. Short stories seems like a great place to.
I would try him, that guy.
Yeah. Plus Lumley's covers.
He has got some good covers.
Who's his artist, man? Who is that guy? This is a first edition.
Oh, right on. So I have a little tidbit for you about Brian Lumley. So he wrote Cthulhu Mythos stories, right? So you've heard of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sandy Peterson was putting that together, and it has Lovecraftian creatures in there, in the bestiary, I guess you'd call it. It has other writers too that weren't Lovecraft. But somehow he really pissed off Brian Lumley. And so he had to so there was like this, I think Lumley's passed away now. So there was like this, I think so. There's like this feud or something where Lumley, like he would not allow any of his Cthulhu stuff in the Call of Cthulhu RPG. I remember watching a Sandy Peterson video about this, and I thought that was really, he's like, I don't know if Mr. Lumley still hates me or not. I thought it was really funny. He's got some great, some really hilarious and very entertaining videos, and some really great like Cthulhu Mythos videos too. Really good ones.
Who is this?
Sandy Peterson. I think it's called, his channel is like at Sandy of Cthulhu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great. He's the guy who he's super knowledgeable about old like weird fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the writer. He didn't create the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I think somebody else had created it, but he wrote it.
Okay. Gloriana is not the place to start with Moorcock, says Goblin. All right.
What's up?
Oh, Jack, what's going on?
Hey.
Thanks for joining us. Have you guys, hopefully you're all subscribed to Sci-Fi Finds. Great stuff.
Gonna have to be.
I think I talked about Jack in my channels you should be watching video.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't talk about Jake, which everybody was like, what the hell? Like the comments I got most on that video was like Pulp Mortem and Omnivorous Reader. Those are the two that I missed. And it was just all the comments were like, what about these two? What about these two? And I don't know how the algorithm didn't throw them at me. So strange.
It is weird.
Y'all need to come to Pulp Fest this year so we can do this in real life. I wish, dude.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it's good. I can't make it, but it does sound cool.
I think it's closer to you than it is to me, isn't it, Virgil?
It is. It's still not close, but it is definitely. It's like I'm halfway for you. So it's definitely closer. It's still.
You gotta pick a book. You come pick me up.
We get the Blackwater. We need to get the Blackwater van. Go and get Brian. We got. Well, I guess me first, then Brian. Then we go.
Okay, I like it. Gloriana is more like Titus Groan than any Moorcock action tell from his score of champions.
Okay.
Titus Groan's on my TBR.
That's Gormenghast stuff.
Oh, awesome! You rock. Bob Eggleton is the artist for most of Lumley's book covers.
You said the name. I'm like, yep, that's right. That is Bob Eggleton. Thank you.
Yeah, and he's great. I mean, those covers.
Oh, so good.
So good. I heard of Gloriana from a list of underrated standalone fantasy that I've read a few books from, and every rec on that list was up my alley. So that's why I decided to try Gloriana first. It might be the one for you. Who knows? Like it's strange. I have a tendency to always try to find a book in somebody's bibliography that works the most for me, and sometimes that isn't what everybody else goes to. A great example that would be Roger Zelazny. What I love from Zelazny is not what everybody else loves from Zelazny, which I just talked about in the video I put up today. Got a good boost of subs from that video. I owe you one. You should have way more subs than you do.
Maybe over there.
Yeah,
I said that's it's one of the channels I missed, so I'm over there.
Yeah, he broke 1,000. Heck yeah, he did.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. No, you should have way more subs. I love your videos. Just begun Simmons Carry On Comfort. Any thoughts? Yeah, Virgil was just talking about Carry On Comfort on the yesterday's or whenever that was live.
Is that the one I put a Dan Simmons in the list? I don't know if it was that one or a different one.
You did put that one on the list.
Yeah, because I've not read it. I don't know if any of us have read it.
No, weren't you talking about that? You said it's like they pick up roadkill, and
there was I remember a friend telling me about the book a long time ago, and he said there was like a rendering truck, which I guess is like the truck that goes around and scrapes roadkill off the roads.
Yeah,
or something. And there was something going on with this truck. I remember him telling me about that, and that's all I remember. And he said it was a really good book. Huh. I don't know if that's really a selling point right there.
I think I'm going to check if that's the one you put on the list. I bet it is.
I think it's the one I put on there, because the other one is I don't remember.
Summer of Nights.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I think it's Carrying Comfort.
Yeah, he's crazy because sci-fi and horror. He goes. And both, and he's kind of beloved in both groups. Carrying Comfort by Dan Simmons. Yep. Yeah. That's one on our list for our secret cult that we can't tell you guys about. Caught you guys during my break. Hey Joe, what's going on? Joe is somebody that's been watching my channel from way back in the day. It's good to see you, and comments on all my videos, even my music videos.
Oh, you see?
Yeah. He remembers Jason. Not everybody does.
You remember Jason? Whenever you say that, I think of, since we're talking about a horror, I think of like Jason in a room and it's like
Friday the 13th.
Locked up and chained or something. You remember whatever happened to Jason?
Yeah. No, I still think
that's the things that we hear.
I always wonder, people click on my channel and they like what they see and they're like, I'm going to go back, and they go back and find a Jason video and they're like, this guy has no beard now. I guess that's what he looks like with no beard.
It's so strange, because that is the reaction I had. I was like, is this a much older video?
Yeah, I feel like I have to, on every update, let everybody know, hey, I always have a beard. It was very short at one point, but I always have a beard. The other guy's my brother. Nope. Here's where we want. I really want to read some horror this year. Anything you recommend as a first port of call? That's kind of what this video's been about. We've been talking about good old horror books. So definitely go back and give a watch through, because I don't want to bore everybody else by holding up all the books again. But yeah, if you ever want to chat, you can shoot me an email or whatever, and we can talk about all the wonderful places to start in horror. I've been in a horror kick recently. I love sci-fi. My channel's a sci-fi channel primarily, but I've been on a horror kick. Also, everybody that's on here, we eventually want all the content creators to be guests on the live show. So I just want to say right now that nobody's, of course, being ignored. We're just randomly kind of, Virgil and I were looking at the list of people that we know that would be, and then we'll just start the loop over, grab new people along the way. So yeah, we want everybody to be guests eventually. But yeah, there's a lot of, you could start with the big three: Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, or The Other. If you haven't read all those, which you might have, I feel like Did you do a video? I can't remember. I don't want to confuse anybody on live TV. Robert Bloch has that reissue that came out, Opener of the Way.
Ooh.
Robert Bloch wrote Psycho. That's his big claim to fame. He also was big in the Twilight Zone, right?
I believe you're right. I think he was.
Richard, stop reading. We need you in here, man.
Where's Richard?
What was book 6 on your list? I honestly screwed this list up. Oh, what was book 6 on your list? This is you're gonna make me admit how like literally stupid I am. I assume you're referring to my earlier video that I put up today. I did a video that was inspired by another bibliophile reads, Greg over there. And he did this brilliant video that was 6 books that you love that nobody reads or talks about anymore, which, by the way, I'm tagging all the content creators I know. It was super fun. Y'all should do one of these videos. It's so fun. I grabbed 2 or 3 books by each writer because I do that, and I thought I had 6. I never had 6. There was no 6th book. I'm just an idiot.
The Phantom book.
I'm so sorry.
You're supposed to tease it. You say, "Well, we'll reveal that in the next video."
That's right. In the next live, you'll find out that there was no 6th.
You got all the time to figure
I'm
out.
just a moron. I think I counted Zelazny twice or Helen Oyeyemi. I don't know. Constance, thank you very much for showing up. It's always great to see you. Andrew, same. Really enjoyed the stream. Got to head out now. Can't wait for the next stream. Yeah, we'll see you in.
Thanks so much for showing up.
Couple of Tuesdays down the road. Good sci-fi horror seems really difficult to find. Ooh, good sci-fi horror. Okay. First, and you only need to read this one, and it's short, and then you can just stop. And that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Is, in my opinion, some of the best sci-fi horror I have ever read. And I know people will fight with me on this. You can stop there. It's after that, you're done. There is some cool shit that happens in the other books, but none of them compare to Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Absolutely incredible. So there's one. Come on, Virgil. What you got?
Let's see. For short stuff, it's more recent. Valuable Humans in Transit is by QNTM. I think it's Quantum. I think is how you say it, but QNTM, I think, is how it types out. Really, this is pretty modern sci-fi, really intense, like existential horror. It's sci-fi by way of horror. And then another one that I always think is like really underappreciated. I don't know how well this fits in the sci-fi thing, but it might work. And the title might turn you off because you might think, oh, this is probably no good. Is actually the novel Metro 2033.
Yeah, you did a video on that one.
It's actually really good horror. It really is. There's a longer part where there's sort of like a travelogue type thing going on. And I don't know anything about the sequels. I don't know about 2035 or 2036. And it's not a novelization of the video game. The novel came out and they made a video game based on it. But it actually is really creepy. It's at least worth reading all the way up until you see the rats, which is very early. It's at least worth reading up to there. Really such good mood building, like it's super intense mood building. It's like, I guess claustrophobic is one way to think of it, but I really liked it. I really liked it. And I feel like people just think it's just a video game book or something, but it's not. It really isn't.
I got one.
Go for it. Oh, yeah. There you
go.
Who
goes there? Fantastic sci-fi horror. And of course, it's what became the thing.
Yeah.
The Color Out of Space. Somebody just said that in the comments. Great. Great.
Lovecraft is a very good place to read. For sci-fi?
Anyone Kolchak fan, the Night Stalker fan, recently read the Jeff Rice novel. It was a good, quick, fun read. So I just sent a bunch of books to Nick at the Book Graveyard, and they were all stuff that I was going to take to a Goodwill.
And I sent him pictures, and he's like, dude, that Night Stalker alone is worth a chunk of money. So I kept this one out. I've never read it. Is it worth it? I don't know.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Was it like spy stuff or in Las Vegas, even the kinkiest crimes don't cause much stir. Everyone's used to it. But now women are lying in alleys, gutters, and parking lots, their bodies drained of blood. Is it possible a vampire stalking Las Vegas streets? Sounds fun. It sounds really fun. Yeah, the Robert Bloch book is full of horror short stories. John says sci-fi horror, The Space Vampires by Colin Wilson.
Seems like I've seen that title before, or at least Colin Wilson's name, but I don't.
Me too.
I've not read anything.
Loved the movie. Big fan of Alex Garland, but I haven't read the book. Here it's quite different. Valuable Humans in Transit sounds interesting. I've played all the Metro video games that they've made.
If you've played and enjoyed Metro, read the book. You will not be. I read that book. Ryan, I was reading the ebook at work in a noisy, well-lit cafeteria, and it made my hair stand on end. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so, it was just really good. I don't know, maybe it just hit me just right or something, but I really enjoyed it. Lots of Russian names, by the way. It was a little difficult for me because there was lots of Russian names because it's translated from Russian.
Color Out of Space is a great one. Ilse Lawyers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right.
Ilse sounds right. Of course, you should never ask me how to pronounce anything.
Right.
I am not the person to ask.
Okay. I believe that the algorithm has a vendetta against Who Goes There by Campbell, because every time I bring it up, people are like, I made a video about that. And like, when I made my video, when I made my video, like the other one, like 2 years ago, I was like, nobody's talking about this book.
Nobody.
Literally, the way Virgil and I met was he commented as like, I made a video about John W. Campbell thing. What the hell?
I'm surprised there haven't been any more trend followers, and you just get this barrage of people like, I made a video about it.
Seriously. Now I got to go watch your video. Dang. Work break is over. Catch you guys next time. Joe, it's always good to chat with you. For some odd reason, he can never make our Tuesday. I think we're doing it right at the times that he's working.
Probably. Speaking of which, I've got a little bit of time left, but then I'm going to have to split. I've got probably about the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, good. We'll call that the end. There's 5 or 10 minutes left, and then Virgil's got to be a functioning member of society. I could only think of sci-fis with an unsettling tone, not pure horror, but Solaris and The Employees both feel pretty creepy. I want to read The Employees all because of Virgil, which I think is all because of you, Curtis.
Yes, it is. The Employees is also a really excellent recommendation, and it's super short. I probably have it here, but it's over there. But it's really thin. I'll grab it. All right.
Oh, another one is Zena Henderson. She did a book or a short story called Hush that I think was featured in Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah, there's another, but it's weird. Those are sci-fi writers writing horror, and I think what you're asking for specifically is sci-fi horror, which I think is awesome. Yeah, and yeah, The Employees sounded incredible. I found some of James Chiptree's Jr. short stories really disturbing too, actually. That is a writer that I think I've watched your video, and I watched Virgil did a video on one of her short stories, and I very much hope to get there, but I have not yet. List of shame.
So there's The Employees. And I love the cover, the picture. Really interesting. Horror. It is horror, but I guess it's horrific at parts, but it isn't exactly trying to go for horror.
Well, it's weird. It's like existential, like Paprika, I think, by Tsutsui would fall into that as well. The guy that wrote the novel that the Japanese animation was based on. I think that would fall under the same category, this kind of existential horror of what technology and science has made us into.
Yeah, it's very cool. About this like expedition in space to this planet, and the alien life they find is really artifacts, these like objects that seem to have intelligence, and then the way that the human and non-human workers, it's really about them and how they're exploited, and what it means to be in the workplace, and how a company can treat its employees and everything. It is all kind of drawn in there. It was a fantastic recommendation, not a direct recommendation, but review by Curtis that became a recommendation for me, and I read it and was just blown away. Yeah, it was really cool. They're one of the objects, I think, when they go in there, it says it doesn't communicate with them directly, but they say, like, whenever this one person goes in the room, they smell something rotten because they think that the object wants them to rot and die, and it's like, ugh. It's just very chilling. Of course, that's not the entire focus of the book.
Yeah,
it's a very unusual book for sure.
Whisper in the Dark, does it qualify? Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah,
I love that story.
That end, that is sci-fi horror straight up.
For sure.
Yeah. And the only time I think that H.P. Lovecraft mentioned Carcosa and what's the shepherd, Ambrose Bierce's god he created that was a lake.
I'm stumped.
I am too. I can't remember.
Oh, well.
But yes, absolutely. As it was discussed previously, an author I tried many times to read but never got hooked is F. Paul Wilson, Repairman Jack, and I heard good stuff about it. Never read it.
I love the Repairman Jack. Actually, I want to read all the novels. I do have a review that's like a smash up review of The Tomb and something else, which is the first Repairman Jack novel. I really like them. They're essentially like sort of like hard-boiled detective stories, but have like a supernatural sort of, or like a cult is probably closer, sort of tie-in. I really enjoy them. Now some of his other stuff, like The Keep, and there's another one. Anyway, they were good, but I didn't love them as much. But I really like the Repairman Jack stories. So there you go. But I do like F. Paul Wilson. I want to read and review all those books.
Yeah, that's one I haven't read. Monster at Earth's End by Murray Leinster is this fun sci-fi horror. Oh. Don't know if I have that. I've never read it. Good. Put that on the list.
Yeah.
Did the Outlaw Bookseller acknowledge your video? LOL. I don't know. Yeah, Employee is unsettling but not horror. Also, I didn't know Paprika was a book on my FG. I have to read it. Love the movie. Yeah, read it and then watch my video. It's interesting. It's very rare for me to say this, but I think in this case the film was a little bit better than the book, and I go into that deep. But still, it was a great book to read. It was so fun. Ashton Clark Smith stuff is often. Do you have to go, Virgil?
Getting close, but we get a couple more minutes. We can do this.
Ashton Clark Smith's stuff is often fantasy horror. Ghost Station that's true about Ashton Clark Smith. The one that I read reminded me of Stanley Weinbaum's Martian Odyssey more than it did anything else. Yeah. Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. It is a sci-fi horror I did not expect, but ended up enjoying it. Okay. Oh man, we're getting so many good.
See, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to go back through and watch this.
Yeah, seriously.
Right, all these titles. Can someone just email me the whole thing, please?
Yeah, it's crazy because Jake was telling me there's a way to make it so that people can see the chat when they watch the video.
Oh, okay.
I mean, after the live stream's over, and I can't figure it out. I don't know. I can't.
I don't know either. You're definitely asking the wrong person there.
Yeah. I didn't know that Paprika is based on a book. I love the anime. I didn't either. And it's funny how it came to me because one of my viewers was the one that told me about it, because I'm obsessed with the concept of dream machines or machines that will affect people's conscious. And somebody was like, dude, Paprika, you've got to read this. So I actually read the novel before I saw the movie. And I still think the movie was a better story overall.
Okay.
I'm hiding, Jack. Some great suggestions from you guys and from the comment section here. Thanks all. Haster, that's the word I was looking for.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is the only.
Now we have a Cthulhu mythos expert in our chat.
That's right.
Great.
Yeah. I did this weird thing where, because I read Lovecraft as a kid, but I decided this time I was going to follow Carcosa through the themes. So I was surprised to find that it was only in one H.P. Lovecraft story, and that was Whisperer in the Darkness. What did you think of Total Recall? Are you talking about the movie or the Philip K. Dick short story?
I have not read the story.
I haven't.
I like the movie, even though it's super cheesy.
Oh, I just remember 3 alien boobs.
Yeah,
that's what I remember. And
it features prominently.
Schwarzenegger's eyes coming out, and there's a weird thing in the guy's chest. Okay, I remember more of that movie than I thought. Yes, is that Paul Verhoeven, the director, the same director that did RoboCop and Starship Troopers?
You're asking the wrong guy. I'm not a movie guy. I can never remember directors. Very rarely can I. Somebody will tell you that.
I think that's who it is. Paprika was Salt and Pepper's baby on Blue's Clues. It's true. I have a kid. She's a teenager now, but yeah, I watched some Blue's Clues. And the weird thing is, go watch a video of my brother and then go look up the original Blue's Clues guy, and you're going to see that they're the same guy. That guy looks
hilarious. That Brian was just singing the Blue's Clues male song in his book.
Wow, that's what he was singing. I couldn't figure out what that was.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
cracked me up so much.
Do you know World on a Wire? Another sci-fi about dream machines and inspired The Matrix. It's German, so original title is I'm not going to try to say that in German. No, Curtis, I don't, but that is fantastic. I am constantly looking for dream machine stuff.
Yep,
I absolutely love it. So I'm going to write that down.
He's definitely going to be the source. He's a great source for off the radar stuff.
Yeah,
stuff that just I would always miss. And I don't know how many times I've watched one of his. Check this out. And I'm like, this is so good. That's where I got not that it's the only place you could have found it, but that's where I found where When Darkness Loves Us, or what? Is that right?
I want to read that. That's got to be on our horror list.
Curtis is where it came from.
That's
that's where I saw it first, and he's like, it's really good. And I read it. I'm like, oh my god.
Or indeed, we can remember it for you wholesale. Yes, that's the I asked. You said you like dream machines. Yes, Verhoeven. Yeah, we had a huge talk on the channel about when is a dream machine and not virtual reality, and it's this really thin line, because if you're not careful, suddenly we're looking at a huge trope instead of a tiny one. And I don't know, we can remember for your host cell, like they're literally implanting memories in people's brains, so that feels pretty dream machine-y. I don't know. That's a great question. That's a really good question. I have to read it. And yes, Paul Verhoeven is the same director, and yes, Virgil has a real life job and has to go, or he'll get in big trouble. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this surprise live. Wait a minute. We'll let Jake have the last word. Total Recall actually doesn't follow the PKD book, but is very similar to The Secret of the Black Planet by Milton Lesser. Interesting. Okay. That's a good place. Think about that while we go on.
This is why we got these guys in the chat.
That's right. Think about that while you're driving to work.
We got them here.
All right. I'm into the stream. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for showing up.
Bye. Thanks very much.
Now it's going to take forever to.
Yeah, there is just 5